Hello. I believe we are live now. Of course, we got as always, when I start these things, I always say, oh, there's a bit of a delay, because there is. I need you guys to confirm audio, if you guys are hearing me, everything's kind of okay, etc., etc. How is it going? Should be good now, though. So I see you guys in the comments. Awesome. Good to see you guys here. Let's make sure we get underway here. Can hear you, we can see you. Awesome. Yeah, apologize for the video as always. It doesn't really matter. There's nothing to look at. It's just a nerd. So, yeah, for those who are new here, because we got a big surge lately due to a lot of craziness. Yeah, about once a month I tend to do these like live Q&As where basically the whole idea is we just hang out, talk. You can ask me questions. And I'll try my best to answer them. You can, if you want to do things like PayPal or Super Chat, if you want to do that, then I'll give you priority. But it's not a requirement. It's just kind of a way to support the channel and, of course, to guarantee your question gets answered, or at least answered to the best of my ability. Speaking of which, hang on one second. I have to log into something. We're always professional here. Okay. So yeah, again, it's not a requirement. It's up to you. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, I appreciate that. But yeah, so before the show began, we actually had one super chat. Now the thing is, there is no like minimum really. I guess the minimum would be, I think for super chats it's $2 because that's they'll put a text on that. But you can donate $1. It's fine. Just don't go below $1, especially when you start getting into PayPal and stuff. I prefer PayPal if that's what you want to do. And then I even have people started requesting Bitcoin. So there's actually a Bitcoin wallet, although I'm pretty sure that was a joke, but it's there. Anyway, so there was a chat beforehand. So I'm going to do that and then we'll talk some more. Just kind of generally. Derek Lasaga super chatted before the show even began. He says, with all the peripherals being made for older consoles, do you think a company will make a traditional controller that works with all Wii games? Congratulations. I don't think that's possible. Like, I don't think you can just have someone kind of like a third party come in and say like, hey, let's make a GameCube clone controller that works with like, say Super Mario Galaxy, because Super Mario Galaxy was not made to work with the regular controller. It was made to work with the Wiimote, which is sad for me because I hate the Wiimote so much. I could easily see someone coming in and making controllers that are conventional to some extent, that basically replicate what the GameCube or Pro controller at the time, what was it called, the classic controller. I could see someone coming in and making those when the console is more nostalgic in like 10-20 years, whatever. But currently, probably not. Excuse me. That was the other thing I want to make the point of tonight. I'm a little bit sick. You can tell in my voice. I might get a little congested and I'm coughing a bit, but the show must go on. I wanted everybody to have the show because I'm not going to be around for a while. So first of all, thank you to Derek for the super chat. We also got a super chat from Cax117 who just says audio confirmed. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, lots to talk about tonight in addition to your questions. So like I said, I'm sick a little bit. I apologize for that. Because of that, I don't know how long the show is going to go, but also I'm flying back to Japan tomorrow morning. So I need to get some sleep, like it's all, it's all a grind, but it's fun. Yeah. And obviously, I'm sure a lot of people have questions about all the Shenmue and Sega stuff. And if you haven't been following that, here's basically what happened in a nutshell, that I'm allowed to say. Sega contacted me a while ago and let me know that the Shenmue re-releases were coming about, and they wanted me involved in the project. Let's put it that way. So they brought me out to Tokyo and had me be part of Sega Fest to be part of the announcement. And then they've told me a whole bunch of things about the game, and a lot of the questions I've seen you guys answer or ask, I know the answers to. I just can't talk about them. Like, that's part of the NDA, and it's just be a dick move to like break the trust of what I consider to be friends. So I wouldn't do that. Yeah, so there's been a lot of chaos lately. It's been fascinating, man. I've been linked in like IGN as a source and stuff, and I'm like, that's fucking weird. Like, there's so many. It's just a weird time right now, and so it's been chaos, but it's been fun. It's been awesome, and I gotta thank Sega a lot for that. And possible little bit of a surprise for you guys that I'm too excited to not kind of ruin right now. It is very possible that Sega themselves will show up during this stream. I basically got off the horn with them right before the show started. And they tweeted out some of my stuff. They tweeted out this stream actually. And if time permits, the Sega account is going to come in here and talk to people for a bit, if possible. If possible. We'll see. We will see. I don't want to promise that. They said that would happen if time permitted, so we will see. But it is a possibility. Anyway, so thank you, thank you to them for that. Thank you guys for being here. So now, let's just get on with some direct questions here from you guys, and let the show get on. I have my coffee and I have water. I also have a couple of random things I want to show you guys, but we'll do that later. Coffee's too hot at the moment. Okay. All right, let's go here. Now keep in mind, there's a lot of questions you guys are going to ask about Sega and Shenmue I can't answer for non-disclosure agreement reasons. I just can't. Like release dates or technical this, technical that. I can't answer them. I know them. I am not allowed to answer them. When the time is permitted, you'll see them on my channel. You'll see them on Twitter. You'll see them in those kind of places. But if you're gonna be like, Adam, does it support this? I can't answer you unless it's already public knowledge. In which case, it's already public knowledge. So let's get on with it. Hey Adam, longtime viewer here. Just want to say congrats on getting into Sega. I can't wait for Shenmue HD. I got to play a build of it, man. It is fun. It is fun. Are there duck boats in Shenmue HD? Well, okay. This one I can kind of answer because, all right, the duck boats thing is a joke on this channel from my buddy Chip. There's Remy, the other half of that equation. Hi Remy, what's up? Yeah, I think you said long time no see. It has been a while. We used to do they all used to be on the podcast together. Now Chip has this thing where he's anti duck boats, the concept of a duck boat. So that question is funny because if in Shenmue 2 there is actually duck racing, like actual ducks, and that's pretty funny that you bring that up. So that will still be in the game. Duck racing will still be in Shenmue 2. Hell yes. We got a super chat from Lee SJBMCPRS who says, "Evening, Adam. Question is coming." Well, I look forward to hearing it. Thank you. But again, even if you super chat or PayPal and ask me an NDA related question, I'm just gonna have to say sorry, I can't answer it. Just please be aware of that. You could drop $1,000 and say, "What's the release date?" I can't answer your question. I'm sorry. So just don't get pissed if like you give me money and I can't answer your question. I'll do my best, but anything, I'm just telling you in advance, anything NDA I can't answer. As promised, sort of promised. There's Sega of Europe. They've shown up, everybody. They're right there. How are you guys doing? That's Sega. That is the official Sega account right there for Sega of Europe. Yeah, they're here. Hey guys, what's going on over there at the office? You guys having fun? Cax117 super chats and says, "Not a question, but just my thoughts. There is a reason Atlas and NIS skipped the Xbox One release because Japanese have heavy games don't sell on it." Basically, the deal is in Japan, the Xbox One is essentially irrelevant. It exists there because Microsoft dumps a bunch of money to keep it on store shelves, but the Japanese just do not connect to it. The thing is, it's a fundamental cultural misunderstanding of the Xbox brand in there. I mean, not only by the Japanese not understanding what it is really, but the Americans not necessarily understanding Japanese culture. I'm going to tell you why I laughed in a second. I mean, Xbox literally means no box in Japan. It's in the name of the platform. It tells you not to buy it. I mean, that's a massive misunderstanding, which is too bad because Xbox exclusive stuff over there has always been pretty cool. Microsoft of Japan made a big effort with the OG Xbox and the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 is considered like the hardcore gamers console in Japan of that era, like the spiritual successor to the Saturn in a lot of ways. It's so people who had it loved it, but most people weren't willing to give it a chance. The Xbox One, on the other hand, it's dead. It's dead in the water. There's almost no point over there. I really love Sega of America's got a good sense of humor. They said, I can ask this question because they said it. They said, "Where's the Switch version of Shenmue 1 and 2? So I'm going to throw this out there and I'm sure they would agree with you. They're aware that you want it. They're aware that it's not like it never occurred to them. Right, the Switch. Does anybody want that? I've never... They know. They know the Switch is a thing, and they know you want Shenmue on it. But at the time, there is no reason to think it's coming there. That's just how it is. It's coming to PC, Xbox One, and PS4. physically on PS4 and Xbox One, digital on PC. It will have, I'm sure, digital releases on PS4 and Xbox One as well. But so, like, Sega's got a sense of humor, guys. Um, okay. So another super chat from Cax117. Even in the US, Atlas only releases on Nintendo and Sony. Well, Atlas is part of Sega. You might want to take it up with the guys in there. Although I don't think they'd be able to answer that. That's one of those things where it pretty much is the same reason. It's pretty much like the games were made, a lot of those type of games were made with PS4 in mind because they're Japanese titles. And they don't really have enough of an incentive to bring them over to Xbox One once they get here. So, I mean, yes, that would be nice, but it's just more work that perhaps some division over there says either you can't do it, or they just don't see, they can't justify it, or Microsoft isn't putting down the extra cash to do that port. Sony has that advantage that they're loved in Japan and Microsoft does not. It's just the simple reality of it. See, questions like the frame rate of Shenmue is stuff I can't answer. Like, I'm not allowed to talk about stuff like that. Yeah, you guys, if you there, Sega is literally in the comment section right now. You should pay attention to them. Like, I'm the sideshow now that they're here. This is just, it's so fascinating. I'm happy that you guys showed up, by the way. I thought they were gonna come in and make like one comment. He's hanging around. Do you? I'm assuming I know who it is who's actually running that specific chat, but I don't know if you would want me to say your name or not, so I won't unless you say you want me to. Which platform am I gonna pick up Shenmue on? I'm gonna get both the North American versions of the Xbox One and PS4, both European versions Xbox One, PS4, probably Australian versions Xbox One, PS4, as well as Japanese PS4. There is no Xbox One version for the PS or for Japan. So I'm going to get every version I can get my hands on, is other than PC, because it's not physical. There's no reason to do that, in my opinion. I mean, if you support PC, which obviously a ton of other people do, great. And I'm all for supporting the game in those ways. But like me, you guys know me. I need physical stuff. You guys, like, I warned them in advance that you guys would overwhelm them with Sega oriented questions, which is fair, but it's funny to watch this play out. This is actually very fascinating. I'm having fun. This show's starting off awesome already. When do I return to Portugal? No current plans to do so, but I would like to. Portugal's fun. Let's see here. How much money have you spent on Shenmue products? A lot. I actually, it's cool because that was one of the weird things about Shenmue and all the dark years where there was no new games or new updates or anything. Really, what Shenmue fans had to go off of to support the cause was really just the older merchandise and efforts to get things like, you know, Rio and Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, or basically any supporting, like there was a t-shirt that came out, or, you know, first four figure statue, like all this stuff. That's what we had to put all our effort into to kind of basically Sega to let you guys know that yes, we really care about this franchise and we really want it around still. So yeah, I spent a good chunk of money collecting random Shenmue merchandise, and it's both a blessing and a curse that the re-releases as well as Shenmue 3 are around the corner, because that means there'll be new merch, which is awesome, but at the same time it's like, fuck, I have to get it now. So as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, the Shenmue guide maps that came out in Yokosuka, those are free, but of course you have to actually go to Yokosuka or know someone who's been there. So I actually did a contest, and I've already sent it out to the winners, by the way. But on my announcement video, which again Sega here was very nice to be involved with, they filmed it. they filmed it, they edited it for me because I didn't have the capacity to do that, and that was a fun video to produce. And in that video, I announced, it was on my own. They didn't even know I was going to do this. I announced that I was going to do this contest to give away these guide maps. So I mailed it out to the winners yesterday. So hopefully the winners get those very soon. A couple of super chats here. Cax117 says, my entire point is that Japanese heavy games don't sell on Xbox. Atlas is one example. Shenmue would sell far better on Switch than on Xbox, in my opinion. That could be true. But the problem is there isn't enough of a litmus test for that game specifically. Like a lot of the anime ones you're talking about, yeah, that's probably true, but that's also because they actually have that choice. A lot of Xbox One users don't, because there's just such slim pickings on there. And if you go back to when Shenmue 3 was announced, the overwhelming support for people who wanted to see Shenmue 3 make it to Xbox One, even though realistically it will not, they now at least have the option of Shenmue 1 and 2. So that user base is there. You just kind of have to give it a chance to grow. This could be a chance like that to see how supportive the West can be of Japanese IPs, specifically on Xbox branded hardware, because we know Japan's never going to get around to that. They're done. They're not going to try and push Japanese IPs on Xbox One, but at least with Sega localizing it for North America and Europe, Xbox owners have that chance. And we don't know this, but it's possible that Sony has all sorts of exclusivity deals with a lot of those Atlas run games, or at least the NIS games and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that shit, so that's entirely possible. T Job 123 super chats. I'm curious, why do you not give digital only releases a chance? Because I like the concept of ownership. To me, a game isn't just the software. It is the artwork, it's the packaging, it's the concept of going out and buying it, and then the whole experience that surrounds that. And coldly downloading a file just does not intrigue me. When it comes to gaming, you miss some of it, especially when it's not even cheaper in most cases. And a lot of times it's actually more expensive. Like right now, I could go to Best Buy and buy like God of War, for example, for PS4, $60 game. I could go to Best Buy right now with Gamers Club unlocked and buy it for $48 and get the physical edition. Or I can go to PSN and download it, not really own it, not really control it, have to go through the process of downloading it, and pay $60. Like, why pay more and get less? And that's not a perfect example. I realize there are going to be plenty of exceptions in there, but it's not the money alone. It's a single factor. It's just, to me, I just like that concept of ownership, and that's just how I am. And it also is kind of nice in a way, because I buy and collect so much stuff for so many various platforms. You got to draw a line somewhere, and that's like a rule I established for myself, like nothing digital, just cut off digital. And if you do that, it's like, okay, great, now I don't have to think about any of that shit. I can just focus on this shit, so that's pretty much why. Thank you very much for the super chats, guys, much appreciated. So we got a couple more. D Temple 87 super chats, and he says, Adam, longtime viewer, do you ever plan on doing any content about handheld systems, Switch excluded? Love your channel, keep it up, good work. Thank you very much for that. Yes, the common question here is the recap videos. Like, am I going to get around to doing that for, the Game Gear, the Game Boy, and all that kind of stuff? The answer is yes. I just don't know when. The last 2 years of my life and career have been insane as far as scheduling. You go back just like 2, maybe 3 years ago, I was going to a couple things a year. Now I'm out of the country, out of the state almost constantly. And I have less time, unfortunately, to produce videos, but I do my best when I'm home to make videos in advance for you guys for when I know I'll be away. And those videos are much harder because they have to kind of come out in succession, and they're much bigger projects to work on. And I want to do them. It's literally just a matter of time, because those don't have an impending release date. They're not like super relevant at any given point. But if, like for example, the GCHD, it's that GameCube HDMI adapter I did a video on. They contacted me and said, would you like to do a review on this? And I said, yes, that would be fine. I would do that. so that has an impending kind of like, you know, they were cool enough to send me the thing, so I should be cool enough to get it out in a timely manner type of thing. So it kind of takes priority over, say, a video about a Game Boy I've been sitting on for, you know, since I was a kid. Like, that doesn't have an impending release date. So those types of, that's just how it kind of ends up working out. But when things slow down, which is kind of inevitable, I'll kind of get back to that type of thing as best I can. But yeah, I'm not giving up anytime soon. Things are obviously getting better and bigger. I mean, like I said, Sega themselves is in this chat hanging out with us. So like, it's good times all around, and I'm very happy about that. But yes, I'm going to do my best to make those videos. It will happen at some point. Thank you very much. Cax117, the Switch wasn't a thing at the time. I'm not sure specifically what you're referring to, Cax. You're probably responding to somebody else, or something I said. Refresh, and I'll do my best to answer it. The Shift Happens podcast. Okay, so Shift Happens podcast is actually one of the guys who won one of the guide maps. So thank you very much for the super chat. Unfortunately, your question I can't answer. Your question is, will Shenmue 1 and 2 remaster saves transfer to 3? That's part of the NDA I'm not allowed to talk about. At some point, the answer to that question will come out, but I can't discuss it at this current time. I apologize, but thank you very much for the super chat. Again, guys, that's my warning again. You're welcome to ask me things about that kind of stuff, but I can't answer them. So I apologize if you ask me a question like that. I'm just not allowed to talk about it. But thank you for the super chat. Cax117 says, at Sega Europe, Chance Persona 3 and 5 dancing come west. That's not even aimed at me, so I can't answer, but thanks for the super chat. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm just going to say Juamaro? I apologize. He says, you're the best, Adam. You have a large amount of video game knowledge. Greetings from Greece. Well, greetings from the U.S., and thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. If you have any other question, let me know. I know there was, I'm so sorry, there was a super chat above where you said the question was incoming, but if you said the question since I missed it, so if you could repeat that question. There was Devin Walker who super chatted $1. I didn't see a question attached to that. And the same with Lee SJBMCPRS. Remy or Giovanna, can you, since you're on admin, you're both admins, you're both there. If you see those guys and they ask a question, can you like help me find it? Sorry, it's just the chat is moving really fast tonight, which I appreciate. Yeah, this is a crazy show so far. So thank you guys so far for being here. Okay, so here's a misconception question. Isn't it going to feel weird / not right playing a Sony PS4, the company that doomed the Dreamcast? I assume you're talking about Shenmue. Okay, here's some reality for you, and you know I'm telling you the truth because Sega is literally sitting here in the chat with us. The truth is, Sony did not doom the Dreamcast. I mean, yes, it didn't help that the PlayStation 2 was around the corner, but the sad reality is, the Dreamcast, it was, to be honest, it was Sega's fault. No offense, Sega, but it was you guys. It was frankly mismanagement between divisions and a whole host of other factors, mostly off the back of the 32X and the Saturn and the general mistrust that a lot of audiences had towards Sega at the time, not necessarily wanting to trust their product, even though, to be honest, the Dreamcast was fucking amazing, as I'm sure you guys know from me. I love that platform. It is my favorite platform of all time. I literally have a full set collection for it. But the reality is that there was just a lot of trust that was broken from them. And there was just a couple of things about the Dreamcast that just weren't quite up to speed. For example, like not having a twin joystick controller at the time, which when it came out, when it was in development, it came out in 98. It wasn't as big of a deal then. But by the time it was like going up against the PS2, it seemed kind of archaic. It was just a misfortunate thing. And then, of course, betting really hard on VMUs to be kind of like Tamagotchis when Tamagotchis were kind of dead by that point. It was, as great as it was, it felt like it was unable to compete with the PS2, and there was a lot of mistrust. And, of course, the whole DVD advantage that Sony had. Sega bet more on the PC gamer and the hardcore gamer, and to an extent the casual gamer, to win the war. Sony bet more on the casual market, as mass market. I mean, people think I like hate Sony, and I hate it's all bullshit. I don't hate them. I have friends who work there. You know, I have a perfectly functional relationship with Sony. I root for them. I wish them well. But the thing is, they bet more on the idea that, look, let's focus more on getting this device in homes, and then once it's successful, people will buy games for it. So they treated it more like a DVD player first, and that got a shit ton of people who would never have bought a video game console to buy the PS2, kind of like the Wii, except that it wasn't a total piece of shit like the Wii was. So that helped it crush it, and it's indisputable that it did. 155 million units. You put the Dreamcast, GameCube, and Xbox together, you don't even get half that. So it was a huge success. But to say that it's solely responsible for the death of the Dreamcast is absurd. And even as a devout Sega fanatic, I do not sit there and maintain the lie that that Sony single-handedly destroyed Sega and destroyed the Dreamcast, because it's just not true. But we can ask them. They're in the room. Did I order my physical copy of Sonic Mania? I have every intention of doing that. Probably for the Switch. But I was given a free digital copy of it for the Switch. And I've tried it out on there. That's fun. And about the whole digital content thing, if people give me that stuff, I'll give it a shot, sure, but I don't pay for it, not digital stuff. But so I might get the Switch version for that reason, because I've already kind of played on it. Plus, I just have the actual thing, and I kind of like collecting for the Switch. I think that's a lot of fun. But I mean, again, Sega's the ones in the room. Are there any improvements for the Xbox One and PS4 version that we don't know about? Because I don't. My buddy James is in the comments. What's up? Sorry, I know that. Okay, all right. Lee's question came through. His question is whether Raymond, who modded my Amiga CD32, is still active and dealing with older consoles. Yes, he is. Your best bet to get hold of him would be through Facebook, or his email. His email address is in some of those older videos. I recommend you take a look at those and just contact him through there. As far as I know, he's still active. He still posts on Sega groups and stuff, and tries to get stuff done. Devin Walker super chats. How will you keep patches for 8th gen when servers are down? Well, okay, so there is no miraculous perfect answer to that yet. So the basic problem that he's referring to is that almost every game nowadays, you put it in your console, it needs an update. Which means the reason for that is the games are incomplete. That's just the reality we live in. I mean, when games go to physical production, there's a schedule, and the development schedule often outlives the physical production schedule, meaning they get the game to a certain point and then they print the disc, but they keep developing the game beyond that point. And so when you go home and you put the disc in, they've got a more updated build, and it downloads and they meld, and that's how you get your games. So the logic is eventually, when those servers are down and those games are no longer supported, the disc version that's incomplete is as far as it goes. So how do you get that patch data? Well, there is no amazing answer for that. The reality is that if you have that data for the time being while your console's still operational, all that stuff, you'll be fine. Or until it stops. Or if usually the communities keep those type of things alive, where they basically take like hacking methods, and they'll put the data online for people who are really dedicated enough to do it. But to be honest, what they mostly bank on is the assumption that you'll stop caring. You'll get rid of your Xbox One, you'll get rid of your PS4, and you'll focus on whatever's next, and the majority of people just won't care. And if you want to see some proof of that, all you have to do is look at, like, I did a video on Xbox One adding original Xbox backwards compatibility. And while there's a lot of us in this room who care about that, because we're all kind of like retro gamers, I mean, don't forget that is what we are for the majority of us. There's the majority of people don't care. The majority of people do not care about that subject because it's older games. And in fact, you'll get plenty of people who show up in there and just say things like, who cares, these are old ass games, you suck, whatever. In fact, if you even try to search that subject, original Xbox backwards compatibility, I've done 3 videos on it. Actually, no, I think I've done 4. And 2 of them will show up right in the top, like, the top results page. next to IGN and Microsoft. And I don't say that to toot my own horn. I say that because the majority of people don't actually care enough to even cover it as a video. Microsoft is doing it mostly as a PR stunt, and that's why there's so few games that are ever supported, even though they're like awesome. My point is, as much as we care about a lot of this stuff, they kind of bank on the idea that down the road people won't really give a shit. So the devout fans are going to be the ones who have to really keep that stuff alive, I think, is probably how it's going to play out. Okay, so moving on. Thank you very much. I hope we're all synced up. Everybody's good with all the questions and stuff. Okay. Do you think original Xbox backwards compatibility games will eventually get Xbox One online multiplayer activated? I hope so, but that kind of depends, ironically, on you. See, here's the thing. As I was just talking about, yeah, the backwards compatibility program is great, and as much as I'm making videos about it and talking about it and supporting the concept, they're not getting any money from me because I have all my games on disc already, or I'm going out and buying used copies on disc to be part of that program. They're only making money from people who buy them digitally, and if those numbers are good, then you will probably see more things like Xbox Live support come back, or you'll see more titles added with some level of expedition. But people like me, as much as I love this concept, as much as I care about it, and I'm like, yes, I'm making videos rallying people around it, they've made, a fat donut off of me. They've made nothing because I have not actually bought a single one, unless you include the people that I made aware of it and then they buy it. That's a little different. But see, it's kind of like that. If it sells well, basically, then perhaps. If not, perhaps not. Cax117 says, how's the Neo Geo CD going? It's going well, I guess. I bought... So if you guys remember, I bought a Neo Geo CD front loader from Super Potato last October. And it didn't come with a controller, it didn't come with cables, it was labeled as broken. But they do that. The Japanese definition of broken is a tad different than ours. It's kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't have the cables, call it broken. So I bought it because it was only $18. Then I ended up buying a couple controllers for it while I was still there, and I got a video cable sent to me. And then now there's apparently a bunch of third-party power cables, so I don't have those yet. That's probably what I'm going to look into when I have more time, and then we'll see how it turns out. Not true, Adam. They make money from Xbox Game Pass because of backwards compatibility. I think you're just assuming that's true because they're part of that package. That's not necessarily accurate. I mean, the majority of people, I'm sure if they gave you the actual stats, the majority of people who use Xbox Game Pass are not using it for original Xbox games. They're probably using it for like Sea of Thieves and stuff that's like relevant. I mean, the majority of people who signed up for it recently did it exactly for Sea of Thieves. So while technically that's part of it, I can't imagine the majority of people like, get Game Pass because fucking all the OG Xbox games. I don't think that's the motivator. But if there's some statistical data to back that up, I'd love to see it. Gabriel Montrul, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Have any info on Shenmue HD transferable save data? I can't talk about it. It's NDA. Sorry. Anything that's NDA that I signed with Sega over all the Shenmue stuff and other things they told me about, I can't talk about it. I apologize, but thank you for the super chat. That, again, I'm warning you guys, like, you can ask, but I can't answer those type of questions. I'm just not allowed to. If you missed it, Sega of Europe was in here for a little bit. I think that they've closed down for the office for the night, so they're probably gone, but maybe they'll show up again. Thank you to them for popping in here. Like half the games on Game Pass are backward compatible. Yeah, I still think, again, you have to probably look at the stats. I'm assuming the majority of people who use Game Pass are probably using it for newer titles. Because I think there was some information like last year about how many people were actually using 360 backwards compatibility on Xbox One, and it was like comically low. So I imagine that OG Xbox backwards compatibility is even lower, to the point where, again, look it up. I'm like the third and like the sixth video even talking about it. Like, most people don't even make videos discussing it. Like, it's just not that big of a deal to most people. It is to us. We care, but we're a minority. Cax117 says, was there a decent amount of Persona at Sega Fest? I didn't really notice much Atlas content in general, but to be fair, I was focused on other things while I was there. So thank you for that. Gabriel Montrell again says, tell Sega to make a PS4 Dreamcast controller. You could have told them yourselves, they were in here. But here's the thing, guys. You have to understand, it's not like you say these things and Sega's like, huh, never thought about, like, they know. Like, they've heard of this stuff before. But that doesn't mean just because you say I want it that it's practical and can happen. It's a nice concept, but there has to be some sort of market research that says, if you do this, it will make money. That's how companies work. No, I don't work for Sega. This was all a nice event that they allowed me to be part of, a nice experience. And that's, at the moment, really all I can talk about. I've been a fan of their content for years, so when they contacted me, of course, I fangirled. But yeah, no, I don't work for them. This is a good question. I wish I could answer it, but this one I actually legitimately don't know. So that's why we can talk about it. Do you know if the box art from Shenmue 1 and 2 will differ from region? Would it be worth importing? So this is, I'm full speculation mode. I actually don't know this. So that's a good question. I obviously, things like the logos, like the PEGI system will be up there, or the ESRB, or the Japanese Zero system. Obviously the Japanese one will be in Japanese. I don't know. They might be. I'm going to do it solely for the purposes of collecting. I want to get every version of it just because I'm a Shenmue super fan, but yeah. Oh, Sega of Europe is back. Hey, guys. He says, we don't usually release controllers. We do license out the designs, though. 8-Bit are doing some classic ones. So there you go. I believe there are some from Retrobit is going to be doing some wireless controllers for actually the Dreamcast. That'll be fucking cool. Gabriel Montrell again says those controller will sell like Tom's hot dogs. Have it up with Sega. They're right there. I'm sorry, guys, over at Sega. I'm sorry. Adam, have you ever asked Sega for Streets of Rage remake? Dude, it doesn't work like that. You don't just sit there and be like, hey, guys, you know what you need to do? Streets of Rage. We had no idea. Would you think anybody would want that? It doesn't work like that, guys. It just doesn't work like that. Like I said before, it's not like they're unaware. They know these things. It's all about, you got to present a financially viable case that a franchise can work. So that's all I'll say about that, because this is just getting to, like, I don't work for them, so like it would be unfair of me to represent their official positions and stuff. A lot of people want to say thank you. Actually, I like this. Let's do this. I agree with this. The Retro Godfather says, just want to say thank you to Sega for giving us a Shenmue HD collection. Can we all give them a round of applause for re-releasing Shenmue like this? That was, to be honest, when I first heard about it, of course I fangirled. I pretended like I didn't. I was all calm in the conversation afterwards. I was like, just like going nuts about it. But I think that we should all give them a round of applause for that, because they didn't have to do it. They really didn't have to do it. We've been badgering them for years. They know that, and they finally, at where it mattered, they got shit done, and they got that accomplished. So I think we should all just give them a round of applause and say thank you, Sega. It was a very awesome thing that you guys came around and did that. It was really very great. So thank you guys. And they're here. They can see you right now, and they can hear you say thank you. So take the opportunity, everybody. They're the best. Especially these guys. If not to get all sappy on you dudes over at Sega, but I consider you guys friends. I really do. Does Shenmue Collection support 16 by 9 resolution gameplays in 16 by 9? I believe Sega themselves commented on that a little bit earlier. There's more to it, but I don't believe we're permitted to discuss it at this time. But yes, the game's playing 16 by 9. But that was from the announcement. Like, that's not news. Oh shit. Sega says we can give a heartfelt shout out and condolences to Vern Troyer, who passed away today. He was a loyal Sega fan and attended the Dreamcast launch. R.I.P. Vern. I didn't know he died. Vern Troyer, for those who don't remember, he's Mini-Me in the Austin Powers movies. He died? Wow. That comes from Sega. That's wow. I didn't know he died. That's awful. But yeah, if you guys want to say R.I.P. Vern Troyer. Mike Rivera just super chat says, "Hey Adam, one, any special exceptions where you got to games go digitally on consoles, i.e. PT before taking it down? And two, are you going to visit New York City anytime in the future? Love your content." One, I have some freebie stuff like that. Like PT I downloaded because at the time it was like, oh cool, a demo for a game. I don't mind if it's a demo. At the time Silent Hills wasn't canceled yet. So I was like, yeah, I'll try a demo. That's fine. So I actually still have that. I never deleted it for that exact reason, because of what it is. The only digital games I download are free, ever. Like the Xbox games with gold stuff, which is debatably not free, but I don't pay for the service. I got the service anyway. So I just grab those just because why not? And then if somebody sends me like, a fan sent me a key for Sonic Mania for the Switch, and I try that. But like, I personally will not spend money on digital content. As for New York City, no immediate plans to go back there. I was there a couple months ago. I'd love to go back. New York's great. But if I do, I'm sure I'll tweet about it or something like that. I often do. So follow me on Twitter or follow my Facebook fan page. I always post on there like where I'm going. Same with Instagram. Thank you very much for the super chat. Adam, bend your arm behind your head again. I can't really do that from this angle. For those who don't know, if they watched, I think it was Playload last month, I'm double jointed in my arms, but I never really talk about it or make any mention of it. Like, I can clap behind my back and I can twist my arm around, make it do all sorts of weird shit, and bring my arms over my head, like, to connect it together. It's you'd have to film it properly to really see it. This is not the appropriate angle for that. People also apparently want to thank Sega for Yakuza 6. I don't know I assume they're still in the chat. But yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I agree. The Yakuza franchise is fucking awesome. We got another super chat. It says, Sega, will we know what happens to Shu Yang, the most epic NPC in Shenmue 2 and Shenmue 3? So this one I can answer because I know they can't. Shenmue 3 is not made by Sega. It's made by EaseNet. Sega's really only involvement in Shenmue 3 was granting Yu Suzuki permission and the license to make Shenmue, and just a blessing and well wishes. So the person you have to ask is actually over at EaseNet. Sega's answered that, I don't know. they have no control over that. That's how the development of that storyline goes, is entirely up to Yu Suzuki and EaseNet. Sega has nothing to do with that. We got a PayPal donation, which is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. From let me make sure he doesn't say anything about don't say his name. Okay, seems to be fine with it. From Mitchell Norwood, who says, "Yo, Adam, what is your most favorite and least favorite console revision of any generation? PS2, Slim, Wii Mini, etc. What do you like/hate the most about them?" Oh, that's a good question. So I will say the worst one has to be the Wii Mini. You took an already complete piece of shit console and found ways to make it worse. You stripped out the GameCube support. You stripped out even the component video support. You stripped out a lot of the just basic features of the Wii and made it a composite-only thing that can only play actual Wii games. That has to be the worst. Although visually, I like the design of it. I like what it looks like. But as far as functionality, it's complete turd. And the best one, though, that's tough because usually the revision models take features away. They don't add them. So what I'm gonna say, the best revision of all time, without including like special editions or whatever, like the Sega CDX doesn't really count because it's not a revision of the Genesis. It's like a combo of the Genesis and the Sega CD in one. I would say the Xbox 360S improved on the original Xbox 360 model in almost every conceivable way and added features, rather than having some versions that don't support HDMI or anything. Like, they all had it. It ran better, it was quieter, it was more fuel efficient, fuel power efficient, whatever. In every single way, I think it was the superior version, was the Xbox 360 Slim. I think that's really what the 360 should have been, though really you can make the argument that the same thing is true of the Xbox One S. It's superior to the Xbox One vanilla model in almost every conceivable way, with perhaps one exception being that it does not natively have a Kinect port. Now, no secret over here, I don't like Kinect. I always thought it was a piece of crap, and I was always opposed to it. But the one thing I liked about it was the ability to use Skype on it. So that was a loss on the Xbox One S unless you had that free adapter. That was not even really free. You could buy it or get it for free if you proved you had both versions of the console, which I did. So that's how I got it. But now that requires its own power supply and it becomes more of a hassle. So because of just that minor issue, I have to say the Xbox 360 Slim is the best slim refresh, whatever you want to call it, console of all time, in my opinion. Thank you very much for the PayPal donation. Not that this matters that much to you guys, but if you care, I prefer PayPal only because there's no fees. But again, it's all voluntary. You don't have to be doing that. But if you want to do it, I appreciate it. Speaking of which, Cax117 also super chats. He says, "I wish games that could." I wish games that could easily be on Switch, companies would just definitively say whether or not it's coming. I'd rather Sega say Shenmue isn't coming. There's reasons that isn't doable, and I cannot elaborate. But I have to unfortunately give you the same PR answer they're giving you, which is there is no current plans for Shenmue on the Switch. It is only coming to PS1. PS1. That would be weird. Oops, spoilers. PS1's getting early. No, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Yeah. Adam, could you promote the Shenmue 3 PayPal campaign again in a video now that it has another chance to make the game better? So yeah, actually, so that's the thing. EaseNet has not updated their financial counter since the Shenmue 1 and 2 re-release announcement, and I'm very curious to see where it stands at, because let me go over there right now, actually. So for those who don't know, if you want to, you can actually still support Shenmue 3 /link. You can actually still support Shenmue 3, and I always make the case that you should, because rather than your money going to like Best Buy or whatever to recoup their cut of things, by supporting the game now, you pre-order the game and the money goes directly to development of the game to make the game better. Now, what they're currently sitting at is $6,868,709. Their next stretch goal is actually at $7 million, which means if they reach 7 million, they actually add a whole new element of content to the game, which according to this list is battle system expanded AI battling. Now, obviously, they know better than we do what that actually means. It's some sort of game mechanic, but it is entirely possible that goal could be reached. And I'd be very curious to see that now that Shenmue 1 and 2 re-release is a thing, and there's all this Shenmue buzz, how much of this has actually been upgraded, if it's been upgraded at all. So yeah, absolutely, another stretch goal for Shenmue 3 is definitely in sights. It's definitely possible. And I'd say if you haven't supported Shenmue 3, do it now. You can help make the game better before it comes out rather than supporting it after the fact. That's my recommendation. Catface super chats and asks a question I can't answer, and neither can the person you aimed it at. It says, at Sega, will Shenmue HD save transfer from 1 to 2? They're not allowed to talk about it, and unfortunately neither am I, so I'm sorry. But again, guys, any question you ask me that's NDA, I can't answer it, and they're not going to answer it either. When those type of questions are permitted to be discussed, trust me, you'll hear it. You just, in the meantime, we aren't unaware of those questions. There's a reason they ask me to do this stuff. Like, there's a reason. I'm like, I know all the questions you guys are gonna have. Trust me. And I've asked so many to the point where they're just like, okay, you fucking nerd, just stop asking us these questions. Like, I saw a lot of those facial reactions talking to them. I get it. Trust me, those kinds of things will be addressed. You just got to give it time. Only those can only come out when they can come out. But thank you very much for the super chat. Speaking of which, another one from Gavin Montgomery says, have you played Fortnite? I know it's a digital game, but it's free, and given its popularity, do you think it has potential to unite all platformers online? Or all platforms online? So there's two parts to that question. One, have I played it? The answer is no. But it's largely because of time constraints. I just never have time to do stuff like that. Like, literally, I'm doing this stream in the time I have between one trip from Japan and another trip from Japan. Oh, that's right. I went to California in between too. Yeah, I fucking, like, I travel a lot for a lot of different stuff. Like, I bounced. Let me tell you a little story. The Sega Fest thing that I did, where did I even go from there? I went. Shit, what's my month been like so far? It's already so convoluted. I think around the 1st, I flew to Australia. I was in Australia this month. I forgot that. That's how much I move. So I was in Australia for like a week or so. Then I came back to the States for a day. Then the next day I bounced out to Japan. I was there for basically a week. Came home for a night. Went out to San Francisco for the Japan thing was for Sega, and I can talk about that now. And the San Francisco thing was for Ubisoft, which I can talk about now. And so I was there for 2 days. Now I've been back home for like 4 days, and then tomorrow I go right back to Japan. So my point is, Fortnite, I haven't had time to play Fortnite. I'm sorry. That also said, the other second half of that question is potential to unite all platforms. I don't think so, because Sony doesn't really like to cooperate with those things. You could get PC and Xbox together, and that's already basically a thing. But throwing the PlayStation Network into that, probably not. And that being the case, probably no. And Nintendo is a non-factor because they don't participate in that kind of. They don't have that game, and even if they did, I don't think they would really. They wouldn't. They don't like to join clubs, so I don't think they'd really do that. Anywho, am I brain dead after all this traveling? Yeah, a little bit, but that's what coffee's for. Super chat from Gabriel Montrul. Shu Ying, don't talk, just leave. Please get out. All right, then. Shu Ying's a character, but yeah, all right. I'm not Shu Ying. She's much better looking than I am. Did you get the jacket? Are you talking about the jacket that's in that thumbnail? That's actually no, that's most certainly not my jacket. That actually came out of the I believe it was I'm pretty sure John Clark told me that jacket was made and brought from the Sega of Europe offices. Yeah, that's an officially like Sega owned property, that jacket. That's not no, that's not something you can just buy. Sega says Adam is an absolute machine. We were jet lagged and tired while he was full of energy and basically our tour guide. I don't know how much of that you would want me to elaborate on, so I won't, but yes, that's true. I just jacked myself up on coffees. I'm like, all right, guys, let's go. This is where we're going. This is the thing. This is where Yokosuka is. Let's do this. So I'm looking forward to that, by the way. This is not a secret. We went down to Yokosuka, which is in Debuita Street specifically, which is where the bulk of Shenmue 1 takes place. And we filmed a whole bunch of footage, and there's this video that's going to come out through Sega's various social media platforms. I'm not entirely certain which, so I don't want to say specifically because that's up to them. And ultimately, the video will probably come out on my channel too. But again, I gotta see if they're okay with that. But it'll be cool. It's myself and Imran Youssef, who is a stand-up comedian. And the two of us, he's a big Shenmue fan, of course. And we went around Debuita and talked about all these different places, things about Shenmue, and did some interviews and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to that video. But that was a lot of fun to film. But yeah, I don't know. I that's all not a secret. When is the OG Xbox video comparison video coming out? HDMI component, etc. Well, I know what you're talking about. I don't have the HDMI adapter thing yet. There is a version of that exists, but I have reservations about how it works because it comes off to me kind of like the PS2 to HDMI adapter. It doesn't come off like, say, the GameCube, the GCHD, where it was kind of, shall we say, built properly. Now, that said, I say that without having owned one. I've only seen like bits and pieces of it. But as far as information goes, but I'd be happy to check it out. But at the time, I simply don't have one. I've seen some evidence to suggest that there are other people doing it, shall we say, properly, for lack of a better way of describing it. But when that happens, I'd love to do that. I do have the SCART cable now, so I can at least throw that in the comparison. Nintendo has crossplay with Xbox and PC on Rocket League. Okay, so the Nintendo's ahead of Sony on that. There you go. That's a good point. I forgot about Rocket League. Can I please straighten my jersey? No, the Derrick Rose jersey will forever remain all fucked up like that. Unless he comes back to the Bulls somehow and is amazing, which will obviously never happen. So Sega says the Yokosuka video is coming soon, and yes, it will be allowed to be on my channel as well. So there you go, guys. I got a pretty hilarious comment from a guy earlier today, which I'm sure Sega dudes will appreciate this. This was posted on one of my Shenmue videos. Dude, this guy acts like he's got top secret information. Literally anyone could have gone to the Sega Fest. This dude is straight up stupid. A 5-year-old heard the same shit you did. LOL. I'm just like, man, like, you are out of the loop, sir. You are out of the loop. So that was funny. Meanwhile, Sega's sitting there in the comments. You guys know. It's awesome. By the way, again, can we thank Sega for actually taking the time to hang out in this chat with us? Like, how fucking cool is that? On top of all the Sega love that has come around recently, of course, Shenmue and all these other entities and properties that are coming back, they're taking the time to fucking hang out with the fans. Like, that's awesome. Just everybody, please thank them for that. This is like the coolest. Like, I say this as a longtime Sega fan, obviously, and so like I'm nerding out over it and everything, but like, think about it. You've got Sega in the comments hanging out with you. That's awesome. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Sorry, I have to drink some water. Where is the loop? Oh, Kai, isn't it your birthday? Happy birthday, Kai. Sorry, just looking for questions. Obviously, what I see isn't synced up to what you guys are typing. Oh, we got a question over on PayPal, so let's take a look at that. Hey, bro, keep up the good. This is from Max Hero. I have no idea. All right. Heureaux. I'm pretty sure. Well, it doesn't seem like it phonetically. Pretty sure it'd be like hero. Hiru. Sorry, I apologize. Let's just call you Max. Hey, bro, keep up the good work. Just got back from Japan and got my hands on an FM Towns Marty. You son of a bitch. I'd love one of those. Do you know any decent games for it? Thanks. No, I don't. I can't even name a game for it. But I'd still love to have one. Those things are cool as shit. I've only seen that twice ever. There's one in Video Games New York that's just in a box. It's amazing. And then I have a friend named Bob who actually owns one that he got from Luke Morse 1, of all people, and it's signed by Luke Morse 1. So I've held that and stuff. But no, I couldn't name a single game for it. Some of those Japanese consoles, man, the weird ones like that, and the Bandai Pippin, like, you can occasionally find the console, but the games are just like, I don't know. I don't know where they are. I don't know how expensive they are. I don't know what they're worth. I can't name any good games on it or anything. It's just like, some of those just exist because they had to exist at some point. We got another. Okay, we got a super chat from Gabriel Montrol who says, at Sega Europe, thanks Sega for making my controller. Another round of applause for Sega. Everybody it's so awesome. Sega, just so awesome you're in here. The fact that you guys took the time to do that is amazing. And another super chat from Cax117. You think the Bucks can overcome a 2-1 to beat the Celtics? Yeah, basically, I briefly looked into the playoffs last night. I'm sorry, Cavs fans, but I'm glad to see you guys losing. I'm not a fan of really any team LeBron James is on, to be honest. But that's to be honest, that's just bitterness over the fact that the Bulls could never stop him. I do not deny his talent or skills. Don't get me wrong, but I'm glad to see that they're losing. I do not realistically think the Bucks can win and beat the Celtics. I would love it to. I love the Bucks. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Bucks. You know, they're my second favorite team, purely out of nostalgia. But I'd love to see them win. But no, realistically, no. Another super chat from Cam Zab. Any interesting PS2 PAL games you would like? There's plenty of interesting PS2 PAL games. There's not necessarily that many good ones. To be honest, so here's the story with PS2 PAL stuff. Basically, around, I think it was like 2009, something like that, there was some, I don't know if it was some sort of legal issue that prevented Sony from being able to do something. And as a result, in Europe, anybody who wanted to make a PS2 game could do it. They could just do it. There was no quality control standards at all. You just had to pay a nominal fee, and Sony had to produce the disc, and that was it. So that's why you got so much shovelware on the PlayStation 2 from like 2009 to like 2014 or so. And yes, it went that long. It was insane. So there's just so many fucking terrible, just unbelievable pieces of shit that came out for that console. And those I actually find the most interesting. Because like there's some of these like weird Disney clones that are just like crayon hand-drawn movies that it's like one dude did, and he just got his whole like library of PS2 games. It's hilarious. Those are the ones I find interesting because of the story behind them. Whereas as far as like quality titles that only came out there are certainly some. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know I have a couple, but yeah, there's nothing like specifically for the PS2 that I'm looking for, to be honest with you. We got a donation on PayPal from Joshua Finzi. Says, "Hey Adam, was hoping to catch a stream tonight, but I've got some friends over watching the latest Transformers film. It sucks. Hope you have a wicked time in Japan for the Sega event." I already did that part actually. And I can't wait to play Shenmue Collection later this year. Yes, it is coming out in 2018. That's all we can say about the release date. Well, thank you, Joshua. Appreciate that. And yeah, Transformers last night or whatever. That was awful. But it was so bad that like everyone said it was like the worst thing ever, and I went into it thinking like it was going to be infinitely the worst thing ever, and it wasn't. It was just really bad. So I kind of enjoyed it because the expectation was so low. But that said, it still sucked balls. Thank you very much for the donation. Super chat from Cax117. Tips for studying for college finals. Don't go to a college that has finals. I went to a film school. We never did that shit. So that's that's my tip. I never actually took a college final. I have no idea. Where am I from? I am from and live in and am currently sitting in Chicago, Illinois, USA. Not for long, as Joshua pointed out. I will be going to Japan in the morning, though. This will be my third time to Japan in the span of 6 weeks. Let that sink in. And in between there, I've been to San Francisco twice. I guess technically Oakland, as well as Sydney, Australia. And if it counts, I changed planes in Houston. And Little Rock. Arkansas. Super chat from Sweaty Palm Trees. Ever go to the disc replay in Crest Hill near Joliet? I just went to a disc replay the other day, but I'm pretty sure it was Aurora or Naperville. I don't remember. I was actually surprised to see it because most disc replays have shut down now, which is really sad. I love disc replay. Actually, I want to give not that too many people will know this reference, but anybody from Chicago, let's give an RIP to People Play Games. Great video game store in downtown Chicago that the land was kind of bought out from under them, and they've decided not to relocate. They're just shutting down. So it was one of the best. It might have been the best retro video game store in the Chicagoland area. It no longer exists. I believe they shut down 4 days ago. And I never got the chance to go back in there because I didn't have time. I was never around. So RIP to People Play Games, huh? Adam Koralik, the most well-traveled YouTuber. Yeah, really, dude. Kind of sucks. You have to pay to get a response. No, you don't, Chris R. Although I loved you in The Room, by the way. You were great in that movie. I don't have 5 fucking minutes, Denny. I want to elaborate on Chris R's point there. It's ironic that someone named Chris R would tell me that. Like, your whole line in the room was, "Where's my money, Denny?" Jesus. Okay, Chris R. No, you don't need to pay money to get a response. The reality is, people who pay money, I give them a response automatically because they paid the money to do it. It's not a repayment. It's not a requirement thing. I'll answer anybody's question as long as I can, NDA wise. It's just enough people have been doing it in succession. I'm trying not to be an asshole, dude. You never come to Greece. Yeah, I've never been to Greece before. I'd love to go. If Sega of America ran worldwide, would Sega still exist today? I'm not entirely certain what that's supposed to mean. When will Shenmue be up for pre-order in the US? I don't know if there's any sort of definitive release date. I think it's kind of up to retailers. The thing you have to care about with that is that a lot of retailers are putting up all these just like placeholder dates for the release. Ignore those. They're just temporary things. They're not real release dates. If you don't hear it from Sega themselves or from me via them, then it's not a real release date. Am I still looking forward to Shenmue Online? Something tells me that one's not happening. How do I not have 100,000 subs yet? I mean, you should be at like 5 million. Well, thank you. I disagree. That'd be nice, but it's unrealistic. Yeah, we're not there yet. We're at 99,306 according to my analytics, which means we actually lost like 5 during the stream. Whatever. That happens. That's a fun little rule of YouTube, by the way. Every time you post a video, you lose subscribers. Usually it's people who are like, wait, this is a channel? I don't want to watch this. Like, they just forget who you are. They don't want to watch you anymore. It is kind of hilarious that that's a thing. The goal is to gain more on a daily basis than you lose from putting out a video. You can never really win. But yeah, no, that's why I'm not going to... If the 100,000 sub thing happens anytime soon, I won't be able to be around to make any sort of video about it. So this is why I'm kind of... The not quite 100,000 subscribers special. That's what this is. Kind of like that weird Simpsons 138th episode spectacular. It's the same kind of basic joke. Is like, we're not quite there. We're just going to celebrate a weirder number because it's the same thing. Do I think that the Shenmue remasters will bomb sales-wise? I hope not. I mean, the whole point is to not do that. And if the fan reaction all over the internet has been any indicator, it's probably going to sell pretty well. One thing that people like to believe that game was like some massive failure, but there's a lot of ignorance that goes in that because people think, oh no, it was a $70 million game and it didn't even sell close to enough and it was a huge disaster. But it's not true. First of all, the budget was 47 million, which sounds exceedingly high. It wasn't really 70 though. 70 was a marketing move made by, I believe it was Sega of Japan specifically, who said that the game cost that because they were trying to win people to come over to support it, believing, wow, 70 million, you must, damn. It was 47. And it was also 47 million across 4 games. Not 1, not 2, 4. It included the Shenmue versions of the Saturn versions of Shenmue 1 and 2, as well as the Ultimate Shenmue 1 and 2. And then it also included marketing and publication and all those other things that are not part of game development. So when you really break it down, it costs more like 8-9 million per game. Sound familiar to what Shenmue 3's budget is? And Shenmue 3 has the advantage that it's not developing an engine and creating all these resources from the ground up. Shenmue 3 is allowed to use the assets of everything that Shenmue 1 and 2 had sitting in Sega's vaults. And then they can use the Unreal Engine and shit. Like, it's a totally different time. And so Shenmue 1 and 2, the re-release, the other part of what's going to help that massively be successful, in my opinion, is that Shenmue 1 and 2 originally were essentially locked to just the Dreamcast and to a lesser extent the original Xbox. When it happened on the Dreamcast frankly just hadn't sold enough units yet. And it ultimately never would. The original Xbox at that point was really not trusted by anybody and really had not sold any units yet. So now you're talking about releasing it across 3 of the most popular platforms in the world. That's a little different. The capacity to sell more copies is insane. How many will it sell? I don't know, but obviously it's going to sell better than the game ever did in the first place. And it'll come in an unbelievably good budget. I got to be the person who broke the news about the price. It was $29.99 USD for the US version, and will have competitive pricing or similar pricing in local markets and local currencies. So would be it, the Eurozone, the UK, Australia, Japan, etc. It's going to be a good price for both games, so it's an easy sell. Wesley Poole super chats. Adam, any plan to come to Derby in the UK again? I've already been there twice. I'd be happy to go. It's mostly about if I hang out with my buddy Shin Muso over there, Ben, if we have time to hang out, then if that's an option, then yes, because he always brings me down to that area. So if that happens for any particular reason, I'm sure I'll tweet about it. Thank you for the super chat. Cax117, same thing, super chats. He says, opinion on Jew and channel awesome implosion. I assume that's the Jew Wario situation and the channel awesome implosion. The thing that, so when I first heard about the channel awesome implosion, I was kind of like a lot of people in the internet. I was like, oh wow, that's awful. But the more I read into it, I was kind of the philosophy of like, this is all reactions to a dead website. Like if that story had blown up a few years ago, it probably would have been a bigger deal. But now it kind of doesn't matter because business models have changed. Now there's definitely aspects of that document that are legitimate and are actually bad. But for the most part, I think it's the internet making a bigger deal out of something than it actually is. Now, that said, I will say I've only ever had one encounter with Doug Walker, aka the Nostalgia Critic, once. And I gotta say, he wasn't exactly the most friendly guy. But it never made me hate the man, and I still enjoy his content. But yeah, I'm not on the same page as a lot of people who think that that's like the worst thing that ever happened in the history of the internet. And I think it's mostly gone away at this point, hasn't it? Like, I mean, he's still making videos. They haven't really, it hasn't seemed to affect them all that much, from what I can tell. But I know there was something about Jew Wario that went with that, and I don't know that part of it. I just saw like tweets about it, that there was some connection, and I don't know what that is. So I'd be happy to, if that's new information, I don't have it, and that could change things. Do you think Sega will port Atlas titles to PC? I have no idea. They're the ones to ask. If they're still in the chat, you can ask them. Any time frame when they're going to announce the Shenmue release date? I don't know. I know the date, but I don't know when they intend to announce any sort of plans to announce said date, if that makes any sense. So I can't really elaborate. How close am I to completing the OG Xbox collection? I have no idea. Like, I don't keep enough track of it because I've been focusing more on the European exclusives just because that was a shorter list, and because I actually got to go to, believe it or not, I was in Europe twice this year. So I was focusing more on that. And then since I've been back, haven't really stuck around for very long. So I just haven't really been focusing on it as much. Do you know if Shenmue 3 will be in 4K on PS4 Pro and Xbox One X? Well, Shenmue 3 has nothing to do with Sega other than them granting the license, so all I can do is speculate. So the first point is it's not coming out on Xbox One, unless something changes last minute, which I kind of doubt, because Sony has a lot of hand in the publication of that game, and I imagine that included an exclusivity clause. As for 4K on PS4 Pro, it might be enhanced on PS4 Pro, but I don't know that. I mean, that game started development well before PS Pro was a thing. It's certainly possible, though. Yeah, Sega, they might have shut down for the night because it's much later over in Europe. I believe it's about midnight over there now. Well, they're in the UK specifically. I believe that they are going there. They're going to bed probably. Am I going to buy Sonic Mania Plus on physical? Yeah, probably. I mean, by probably, I mean definitely. What is with this? All right. Stoop Kid, you ask me this question all the time. The question is, why are you so rude to your fans? Do you guys think I'm rude to you? This dude messages me all the time and comments on things all the time with this exact same question. And it's like, chill out, man. I don't know what your deal is. Any plans to visit Super Tomato? Oh, I love Super Tomato. My buddy Tom runs it. I've been there twice. And if I go back to Cardiff, then most certainly, yeah. Hmm. Anyone know who won last gen, 360 or PS3? There seems to be no clear winner. I'm sorry to tell you, the Wii. The Wii is what won the last generation. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Am I going to the Missouri Game Con this year? Yes, I am. I actually just finalized that. Um, I hope I'm allowed to say that, but yes, I'm going to the Missouri Game Con. There's also these are unguaranteed, but there's a very good chance I will be going to the Portland Retro Game Expo in I believe it's in October, and a decent chance to those in the UK that I will be going to a Dreamcast specific convention in November. Those two are more on the fence, especially the one in the UK. If you want me to go to the one, if you're in the UK and you want me to go to the one in the UK, message the Dreamcast junkyard because they're responsible for whether or not I should go or not. So you want me to go? Tell them. I'm sorry, was that rude? Oh no. Might have been a bit sarcastic, sure, but rude? I don't think so. Cax117 says, Jew sexually assaulted women. CA channel awesome knew did nothing. Okay, that I knew nothing about. That if that's true, that's fucked up. Yeah, I'd rather kind of not comment. Cax also says that's allegedly. Um, yeah. Ooh, Castlemania Games. Hope to see you at PRGE. Are we to discuss that? You send me a private message real quick. Castlemania. Um, Sorry, I'm trying to. Comments are very fast tonight. Appreciate. Are you guys that you guys are here? 268 of you watching right now. I appreciate that. Are you guys having fun? You enjoying this? Is this good? Hopefully you were here when Sega was in the comments. That was nice of them to show up for a while, answer a bunch of your questions, and just hang out. Do you did I order the Re-Res All controller? No. I should do that. I should get together with him and just help him promote that because that's the idea that he's doing that is just so cool. Hey, Sadocles is here. What's up? Jester Pez. Sadocles, tell me how's the cancer treatment going? You okay? And Jester Pez super chat says, Adam Jesse / Jester Pez from San Francisco. What's up? I was just there the other day and I have to go there tomorrow. Technically, I'm just changing planes. Just wanted to tell you, since we're on the Shenmue topic, I picked up a game lot 30 minutes ago with an immaculate copy of Shenmue on Dreamcast. Awesome. I'm very happy you got that. So you can have that, and then in a while you can get the updated versions if you want. But yeah, definitely cool to keep supporting it. And actually, there is a hashtag right now if you guys don't know. Hashtag #MyShenmue. You can put that in there, connect it to me. I'll retweet it if you want. Of people just like holding their copies of Shenmue and just showing support for like dedicated fans who've held on to their copies and are very excited about the upcoming releases. So if you want to be tweeted out by me and possibly Sega, which would be the more interesting part, do a hashtag #MyShenmue and I'll be happy to retweet photos and like photos of people doing that. I can't promise Sega will. They do a lot of it, but right now they're asleep. So, or at least the guys who are in here. Thank you very much for the super chat. Cax117 super chats. Do you believe in the heart of the cards? Not sure what that means. Do I think there will be a new Super Mario Bros. Game for the Nintendo Switch? I think that's inevitable. I mean, the console is highly successful, and I can't imagine that Nintendo's like, don't need Mario anymore. Like, he's gonna be there. I mean, if you're talking about like another like Odyssey type of level of game, probably towards the end. I mean, he'll definitely have like those random sports games and things that come out, and another Mario Kart probably. But like a formal like, I don't want to call it canon because I hesitate to debate what the timeline of Mario is, but I bet you that another big one like that will probably come towards the end of the lifespan of the platform. If GameCube had DVD, would it be more successful? Well, it didn't really work out for the Panasonic Cube, now did it? But then again, that's a little different. That was much more expensive and Japanese only. I failed to get the reference. Book 'em. Sorry. Sometimes you miss shit. Sorry, I'm trying really hard to keep up with comments. They're going extremely fast. Uh, Shenmuso is a legend. Yeah, Ben, he's my buddy. We got a PayPal donation from Abdullah Hamed, who says, "Hi Adam, great work with Shenmue HD. Thoughts on Toys R Us? Do you see physical games going the same way?" All right, so first of all, Toys R Us. Well, first of all, thank you for the donation. But so second of all, with regards to thank you with the Shenmue HD thing. I appreciate that. I I'm so happy I got to be involved in all that, and I just once again thank you Sega for having me be involved with that. And thoughts on Toys R Us? Okay, so I did the I want to be a Toys R Us kid one more time type of thing. I went out to a store that was closing, and I bought a Switch game from them. It was a pinball arcade one, Stern Pinball Arcade, and I think I picked up some Ren and Stimpy figures just because I was like, what the hell. But then again, I also went to after that. I actually went to one in Japan, and I went to one in Australia. I've been to Toys R Us in like 6 countries. It's fucking weird. The thing is, they're really only shutting down here, and supposedly this guy is gonna buy them out and keep the brand alive. Did you guys hear about that? That's as much as I heard. So if that's the case, you may not actually lose Toys R Us. It may just be under new management. The thing about Toys R Us is when you really dig into what happened to them, they were actually generating a profit every year. It's just they were so in debt from a previous owner who pushed debt onto them. They were bought out in like 2004, and then they were just granted like $4 billion in debt through that acquisition, something like that. And so they basically had made a map of like how much they'd have to make every year, and they were generating something like $460 million a year since that time. And so they've actually been paying off their debt, but the problem was they were using almost all their profits to pay off the debt. So as a result, it couldn't allow them to improve their toy like infrastructure. Like they couldn't improve the stores, they couldn't improve their websites, they couldn't improve employee benefits, they couldn't do any of these things that would help them stay competitive. And so that generated the issues they have now. But their actual business model of selling toys the way they were doing it was very functional. So that's why you have the possibility of this dude coming in and just paying off the rest of their debt and kind of keeping them around. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's my thoughts on Toys R Us. And do I see physical games going the same way? Physical games are inevitably going to go away. And I say that as someone solely dedicated to the concept of buying physical games. It's just a matter of where and when. Some markets will hold out longer than others, and like Japan will hold out probably the longest because they love their physical media. I just hope that when that time comes, that the Japanese versions of games are a tad more friendly to the concept of importing. And what I mean by that is specifically the language stuff. Like a lot of the times now when a game comes out in Japan at the same time it comes out in the West, the Japanese version will not include any sort of English subtitles or dubbing or anything like that. And you got to go, why? Because clearly the game has it. You just chose not to put it in there. And it's annoying. So I hope that in the future they're more synced up to that concept, because it'd be weird if like all of us had to buy our games from Hong Kong or something. I know Australia will probably hold out for a little while. Same with Europe. I mean, America's probably going to jump out of that first, sadly, is my guess. But we'll see. We will see. Thank you very much for the donation. Sato Cleese, don't you have a flight tomorrow this time? I do. I'm flying back to Japan. I'm going tomorrow morning, flying to San Francisco, changing planes, then flying off to Osaka. So yes, long proud tradition. It returns. Cax117, gotta go. Thanks for the stream. I'll do Patreon soon. Well, thank you very much, Cax, for all the super chats. You've been very generous tonight, dude. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. And thank you for the Patreon shout there. I appreciate that too. If you guys don't, look, I know people don't like when people push Patreon, but I'm gonna keep it real with you. Yes, I have a Patreon. Yes, you can support it. That's completely optional. You do whatever you want. But the one real perk of it is you get early access to videos. If you like me and you like my videos, that's the place to be, man, because the podcast comes out like a month ahead of time, and then the regular videos usually come out like 2 to 3 days ahead of time. So it's just early access to stuff is pretty much all that is. So up to you. It's $5 a month, but that's up to you. Cax117 says, and I will see you at the Missouri Game Con this year. Yes, you will. I will be there, and I hope you make it down. You're in Wisconsin, right? I hope to see you there. He said last year he wanted to make it, couldn't quite make it. This year he thinks he can do it, and now he says he's definitely doing it, so I'll see you there. Alejandro says, hello from Uruguay. Uruguay. There's multiple pronunciations. I apologize for my ignorance, but hello. Hello, Alejandro. Fun fact, when I took Spanish classes in 1 year, they gave everybody Spanish names, and Alejandro was what the name I was given. Hope to see you at Retropalooza this fall. Yeah, when I was in PAX South, I was talked to by one of the guys who ran Retropalooza, and they said they wanted to bring me down for the one in April, but they never contacted me after that, so I wouldn't count on it. I'd love to go, but there's no current plans for that. I'm going to Missouri Game Con. I'm going to AVGC. I might be going to Too Many Games. I don't know that 100% right now. I'm probably going to the Portland Retro Game Expo, which Castlemania Games. Can I just tell them straight up like what the deal is? Is that cool? You need to send me a PM. Send me a PM, dude. Oh, you did. Ha! You're ahead of the game. Let me ask you specifically one question. Sorry for my mechanical keyboard, everybody. Sorry, I have to ask him a question to verify something. Anyway. No, I cannot speak Spanish. No habla español. Mi español es muy malo. Solo 4 años en la escuela para estudiar español, like, which is probably like a really stupid way of saying I only studied Spanish for like 4 years, something like that. And you're probably like, oh my god, his Spanish is terrible. Yeah, I don't speak Spanish. My Japanese is improving, which is useful. I might also be going to this convention in the UK, as I mentioned. AVGC is a lock. I will definitely be at AVGC in New Jersey. So if you can go to that. There's a possible surprise for that one, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. Okay, so I just talked to Castlemania Games. Here's the thing. Castlemania Games, I'm proud to announce right now, Castlemania Games is bringing me to the Portland Retro Game Expo. I will be there for them. So if you want to meet me at the Portland Retro Game Expo, I will be there thanks to them. So official announcement in October, I'll be there. There you go. I just wanted to verify it was okay to say that they were bringing me out to that. Do I have the complete Zelda Unholy Triforce? Yes, I do. All 3 of those CDI ones. I've got all 3 of them. As well as Hotel Mario, actually. My Japanese is improving. How so? I tried to learn a couple of phrases that can be useful. And then every time I go there, I try to just learn a couple of extra things that serve some sort of purpose. I wish I actually spoke the language. I'm told my Japanese accent is actually very good. I was told that by multiple people who like worked in this hotel, because I would open in Japanese what little I know, and then they would continue, and then I would have to admit, like, I don't speak Japanese, like, sumimasen, wakarimasen nihongo. And then they would be like, really? Because your accent's very good. And I was like, sorry. Sumimasen. So I try to learn a couple phrases. What's the UK event? It's, I don't know if it actually has a formal name yet. The Dreamcast Junkyard wants to do a convention, but me attending is on the fence, mostly because they want locals, which makes sense, but they also want me because I'm very tangentially connected to the Dreamcast. And I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, I'd love to go, but getting me there is much more expensive than getting a local because they don't have to fly a local, whereas I have to come from the States. So they're kind of like maybe, but they're not sure there's enough demand necessarily to bring me there yet. So if you want me there, that's up to you guys. If you're in the UK, go tell the Dreamcast Junkyard you want me at their convention. Uh, why do you keep saying I only have 2 minutes? In 1 minute, it will be 6 p.m. Am I stopping and I didn't know it? What's the hardest game I ever found? What do you mean by that? When I say my Japanese is improving, I mean my pronunciation. I can't read the shit. I can't. I used to be able to read hiragana somewhat competently, but not in a long time. We got a donation from Iola Jones, who says, "Love your channel. Aside from Dreamcast, do you collect many homebrew games? If so, are there any you would recommend?" Aside from Dreamcast, that's difficult because I have a few for like Mega Cat Studios sent me some NES stuff and Genesis stuff. And I have a few weird Genesis like fan made games, if you want to call them that, or homebrew independent, but not as much. Actually, the one that I put a lot of effort into, oddly, was Jaguar CD. Yes, you can judge me. It's okay. The Jaguar CD obviously never really got much love in its main day. I mean, it only had like 13 releases. But my buddy over Orion, as you guys would probably know him, he's a developer in France. He was making a bunch of games. He was the only dude out there. He's making Jaguar CD games. And I was like, I have to support this because this is just so bizarre. And because you're actually expanding the library for that, of all platforms, that platform. So yeah, I was like, you're getting my money, dude. So I was happy to get those. So that, but he doesn't make games anymore. He retired. But yeah, that was the one I supported just for the strangeness factor. But yeah, the majority of consoles don't really get independent production content because there is just isn't usually enough demand for it. Dreamcast is kind of unique because it's a very capable machine. It had its life cut short too early, and it's actually very easy to make content for, and a lot of people actually have the platform. Whereas even cartridge-based consoles that are more popular are simply more expensive to produce content for the same reason as always, cartridges cost more than discs. So most CD-based consoles that can read, basically, if you want to call it burned content, are not widely spread enough other than the Dreamcast. Hope that answers your question. Cameron Caruso super chats at my brother's 10-year class reunions, so can't stay. Wanted to donate for all the hard work you put into your content. Keep it real, bud. Well, thank you, Cameron. I appreciate it. Have fun at the 10-year, well, it's your brother's 10-year reunion. I remember I had my 10-year reunion 3 years ago. Oh, that makes me feel so fucking old. But that was a lot of fun, so hopefully you have some fun there. And thank you very much for the super chat. Derek Lasaga also super chats. Do companies pay for your flights, hotels, and good? Short answer is yes. I'm not going to go into details about that, but short answer is yes. It would be... You do... Here's the thing. If you're ever in that influencers club, you will occasionally get messages from companies that say, we're doing a thing here. Do you want to go? And you say yes. And they're like, okay, cool. Just bring yourself out there. And I'm like, how am I getting there? What are you talking about? Like, you know, it depends on the company. It depends on the event and stuff. Some companies are simply better at it than others. Ubisoft is probably the single most well-oiled machine in that regard. And yeah, I don't know. I'd rather not name drop certain companies where I just went, what the hell what are you talking about? And then there's other ones that there was one in particular that was really strange, and I would love to tell you this story, but I really don't think I should, so I won't. Do you see yourself liking the Switch more than the Wii U in the future? It's entirely possible. I mean, especially because a lot of the Switch's library is actually on... a lot of the Wii U library is actually on the Switch. So a lot of the best elements of the Wii U are already there. And then you get all the additional benefits that come with that. So yeah, I mean, maybe. But one of the problems with one of the things that actually attracted me a lot to the Wii U is, frankly, the collectible nature of it, because it's very, very reasonable. Whereas the Switch is getting too popular to the point where it's a fool's errand to even try. So I don't know, but as far as like actual content and games and fun and all that, yeah, I assume the Switch will ultimately be a more interesting platform than the Wii U, is my guess. But mostly, I say that with the caveat that mostly because a lot of the best games of the Wii U have been cannibalized for that purpose. Ugh. Sorry, guys. Starting to fade a little bit. This is not like the usual stream. I'm definitely not doing one of these like 7-hour marathons because I'm still jet lagged because I spent like half of the month in a different half of the world, because I went from Australia back to the States for like a day and then back to Japan for a week and then here for like a couple days. So I'm trying to resync because I'm going right back to Japan. So I'm trying to stay functional with that half of the world's time zone. So as a result, I'm all kinds of screwed up. That, and I also have a cold at the moment. Yeah. So I don't know how much longer I'll be here. Just keeping it real. Do you have any separate platinum or greatest hits collection? No, I really don't collect the platinum or greatest hits or Sega All Stars or any of that shit. I never liked that concept as far as collecting goes. I mean, I like that it was a good way of getting more copies out there so more people can enjoy games. And in some cases, there are exceptions, of course, where the platinum hits or whatever you want to call it was the better version because it had all the DLC on disc or it had all the bug patches on disc, stuff like that. But those are few and far between. So with that being the case, in those instances, I do go after a few of them, but that's extremely uncommon. I can't even think of an example off the top of my head because it almost never happens. But yeah, and like, but I don't do a separate set of like, oh, I need every subset of no. That, and they're always usually hideous. They never match with any sort of set or anything. And just, no. Giovanna is telling people lies about how my favorite candy is Toblerones. They're not. I think Toblerones are fucking disgusting. They look like turds for a reason. It's just gross. Do you collect Metal Gear Saga? I don't know what that means exactly. Like I have Metal Gear Solid games, but I don't like go out, like I don't have a Solid Snake statue or anything. If you're meaning like I go beyond just owning the games, the answer is no. Best indie Dreamcast game, Charlie says. His is Rush Rush Rally Racing Reloaded. That's a good one. Probably Stormwind is still my answer. Yeah, that's probably the best prepared one. Yeah, I think that's what I would go with. Toblerones are fucking gross, guys. Yuck. It's now it's another chocolate thing where in the US our chocolate is like shittier than everybody else's, so I will fully admit the quality of Toblerone chocolate here is going to be worse than in other countries. So I actually tried one again when I was in France, and the quality of chocolate was better, but I still didn't like it in general because of all the content in it. It's got like weird honeycomb stuff which doesn't blend well with the chocolate, and it kind of feels like you're eating a turd. Like everything about it just sucks. So I'm not. I could go the rest of my life and never eat a Toblerone and be happier for it. That's just how it is. What do you what do you consider a full collection when there is so many iterations of the same games? See, that's a video idea I've been kicking around for a while. Is what makes a collection a collection? Basically, is essentially what you're asking. What is a collector's rules? And it varies from person to person. In my case, I'm satisfied when I have one copy of the game from my region of choice. So, for example, let's talk about original Xbox because that's something I'm working on right now. There's a whole list of original Xbox games that came out in my region, in the North America, specifically the United States. So that's my priority, is getting all of those. But there were also games that came out in various Asian countries, mostly Japan, one in Taiwan, one in South Korea. And so all combined, I think that's 50. So it's like 48 games from Japan, and then one South Korea, one Singapore, and then Europe got something like 70. So my goal is to get one of every single one of those games and not have any crossover. Not like I don't need 3 copies of Halo from every region or whatever. I don't need that shit. Just one is fine. Then the only time you make an exception if it's something special to you, like Shenmue 2 is very special to me. So I got the American version and the European version. There actually was no Japanese version of Shenmue 2 on Xbox. Um, so actually, it's funny. Until the re-releases come out, Shenmue 2 has only been playable in Japan on the Dreamcast, which makes sense because Xbox is essentially irrelevant there. But with greatest hits and stuff, like I don't need any of that crap. I never did. Essentially, as long as you have one version of it. But then you get down to preferences. So like, if I had the choice between Halo Regular Edition or Halo like Platinum Edition, I'm picking the Regular Edition because that's what's going to match with everything. I would not settle, at least at this point in my life, I would not settle for the Platinum Edition unless the Platinum Edition had some reason that was justified for me owning it. I think there's 2 exceptions on the original Xbox I can think of. There was an iteration of Fable that is better on Platinum hits because it came with all the DLC on disc, and I think the same was true of like Midnight Club Dub Remix or something like that, where it had a whole bunch of extra content on just the Platinum Hits version. So like those I got, but in most cases you don't. Does that answer your question? Hopefully it does. Thoughts on if you think Shenmue 1 and 2 will also come to the Switch? Well, as I said, there's a lot of stuff I can't talk about for NDA reasons, but the official answer is that Shenmue 1 and 2, the re-release, is only coming to PC, Xbox One, and PS4. You're free to speculate all you want, but there is no Switch release planned at this time. I have to give you that answer because that's what the NDA allows me to say. I can't go beyond the details of that. But this is not some secret where there will be a Switch version and they're not talking about it or whatever. There is no Switch version planned. It's coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Is the OG Xbox region free? It is not. However, there are some games that are for whatever reason. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that is a game called Gene Troopers. It's a PAL exclusive. And for whatever reason, it's region free. It just plays on any version. But for the majority of them, no, that's not the case. Would I rather game on composite cables for the rest of my life or shop at GameStop? Shop at GameStop because the rest of my life will be many years, but GameStop's got a couple years at best left in them. Thoughts on Saturn slash Dreamcast games coming out on the Switch? I think that's great. That's really all I'm allowed to say. like, it's an interesting position to be behind the curtain on a lot of this stuff because there's so much stuff that I can't speculate about because I actually know, and so I can't. It's not as fun, obviously, but I gotta be careful, guys. I signed an NDA. What can I tell you? How are loading times on Shenmue PS4? I hope they're pretty much non-existent. Funny enough, I only played the PC build of it. That's all I can say. Progressive G super chats $1, but did not leave a question. If you have one, let me know. Thank you very much for that. Did I miss you eating your oranges yet? No, I don't actually have any, but I do have some dried fruit. I might eat that later. We'll see. Why do you hate me? Adam says Catface. I don't hate you. I got nothing against you. To be honest, unfortunately, I don't even know you, so I certainly don't hate you. Dreamcast for Crazy Taxi. Why? Because it's a good game. That game's awesome. You ever play Crazy Taxi? That game is the best. Crazy Taxi 2 is good, not as good, and Crazy Taxi 3 I pretty much forgot even existed. And then the spin-offs like Fair Wars and all that stuff, I forgot about those. But Crazy Taxi 1's great. Play it on Dreamcast though. I mean, like, other than the arcade, like, that's really where it was meant to be. The PS2 and GameCube versions are really not up to snuff. Did you know that the singer for Limp Bizkit, Fred Durst, played Dreamcast? Yeah, he was part of Sega's original ad campaign for the game. Guys, I know you have all these technical questions about the Shenmue re-release. I can't talk about them. I'm not allowed to. You can ask all you want. You can ask till you're blue in the face. I'm not unaware. They're not unaware. Trust me, there's a reason they asked me to be involved, because then I can reiterate all these things to them. They know. They know. Trust me, they know. But asking me, I can't answer it, so it doesn't. Progressive G asks after he super chats, what will become of you playing Shenmue 1 and 2 and other DC re-releases on Dreamcast with the Akura? I will still do that. I have no reason not to. Like, I've played Shenmue 1 and 2 on like every way I could possibly play it. The Dreamcast, Xbox 360 through the backwards compatibility support, through the Akura, through different versions of the Dreamcast. I've played the Japanese version. I played the European versions, the American versions. Like, I've played every version of that just for the fucking being, even the GD-ROM beta versions. I've even done it just for the fun of being able to say, I fucking did that shit. So it's not going to stop me. This is just a new thing I'll be able to do. It's Garner. Chris Garner super chats, is there an HDMI cable for the Dreamcast? Yes, it's called the Akura. I did a video on it. If you want to watch that, you'll get all the information. It's basically a little box you attach to the back. It taps into the VGA output of the console, and you just straight up output HDMI through that. Highly recommended. Thank you for the super chat. Favorite Panzer Dragoon game? The one I probably played the most, although it's been a long time, was Saga. And so I would probably go with that. That's also the one that is probably the most sought after, and the one that very few people will ever play because of how impossible it is to get a hold of. And the source code for that game is long gone. It was lost. That's public knowledge. That's been public knowledge for years. And so you'll probably never see that again unless there's some sort of Saturn emulator built competently for some sort of platform. Actually, one of the unsung things that people pointed out in my Xbox backwards compatibility video I just put out, so you can play Panzer Dragoon Orta now for the Xbox on the Xbox One in 4K if you have an Xbox One, no less. But you know what else you get in there? You get Panzer Dragoon 1 is on that. I forgot all about that, and that's supported too. So you can actually play that now on the Xbox One in 4K. I haven't tried it myself because I don't have an Xbox One X, but I can't even imagine how crazy that must look. So 2 of the 4 are actually very easily replayable now. Well, 5 if you include the Game Gear game. Joshua Butts super chats. No comment though. Thank you for that. Have I ever played Shenmue on an RF cable? No, I don't hate myself. Actually, I take that back. I do hate myself. No. My cousin had an old tube TV and he wanted to try Shenmue out. And that's all he had. So we were playing it and I was just doing this, like, I can't look at it. I can't. Like, that was pretty much my reaction to all that. Favorite Virtua Fighter game? I'm gonna level with you. Virtua Fighter was never my shit. Which is ironic because Shenmue is a spin-off of the Virtua Fighter franchise. It actually started off as Virtua Fighter RPG. But I never really got into Virtua Fighter. I wish that franchise well. Good luck to Virtua Fighter 6 and all that stuff, if that ever becomes a thing. I know people want that. You know, that could be the next big campaign. Who knows? But yeah, it just was never a franchise I got all that much into. I don't know why. I just never really enjoyed the fighting mechanic. My fighting game series was always Dead or Alive. That shit, the fucking best. How many times have I made love to a Dreamcast? Oh, God. Oh. Every Friday? Probably? At least once, if not twice. It really just depends. Like, you gotta like warm it up, and it's just, you gotta get it in the mood. It's like, how much do I really care? What a fucking stupid question. Thank you, James. Have I seen Rampage? No. You know what I did see recently that was surprisingly good was the Jumanji sequel. Color me surprised. I didn't see that one coming. Ranting Randy says, hey man, wanted to say happy not quite 100,000 subs yet and hello from Canada. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have I played Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball? Sadly, yes. Those games are fucking terrible. I tried, man, but they suck. How am I able to play the first Panzer Dragoon on Orta? Now, I don't remember exactly how this works, but I think once you beat Orta, you unlock the original game. Is that correct? Somebody out there must know. It's been a long time since I do it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. How often do you get to play games these days through your travels? Usually I play games of things at events, or if I have downtime, it's usually through the Switch, which is part of the reason I'm liking the Switch more, because it gives me the option to still kind of be in the loop. But like, even games I really want to sit down and just play the shit out of, like Far Cry 5, I just haven't had time to do it because I'm just not here long enough. Even though I've played a lot of it in, like, early events and stuff like that, but I want to sit down and just really dedicate to it, but I'm just not here enough. How do I think the Han Solo movie will do? Poorly. Have I seen Roseanne? Not the reboot, or, well, no, it's not a reboot. It's a new season, I guess. That's a weird thing that our generation invented, huh? The concept of bringing back all this canceled stuff. Kind of cool, but I haven't watched that one, actually. If you spend 5 hours in Orta or beat it, you unlock Panzer Dragoon. There you go. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Chase, because you posted that. If I were to just put Panzer Dragoon Orta on my Xbox and just let it sit at the menu for 5 hours, would I unlock it somehow? Is that how it works? Or do you have to, like, go into the game? What's the deal? Just in case people just want to get to the original game. Spanish subs, please. I can't subtitle things in real time, especially in languages I don't speak. So I'm sorry I can't do that. I can say a couple random things in Spanish to appease you. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? No, there'll be ¿Dónde está el biblioteca? ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Yeah, that's la. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Where is the library? For some reason, everyone who took high school Spanish knows that sentence. It's the first thing they teach any of us. As if anybody in 2018, or even 10 years ago, 15 years ago, as if the first thing you would ask in any other country that just speaks Spanish, where is the library? Have you ever asked that in a country of your own language? I've never turned around anywhere and just been like, where's the fucking library? I need to find it. Never, ever worried about that. Ever. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you think the Shenmue saga will finish with Shenmue 4 or Shenmue 5? Right now, I would say just pray that all this Shenmue content works out well enough that we actually get Shenmue 4. Worry about that. Now, what Yu Suzuki originally conceived of was Shenmue 7. That's where the series was supposed to end. And over these years, he's been whittling it down, and he says, look, I can do it in 4 if I really have to, but I'd really rather have 5. And that's like literally 2 games of content, both 6 and 7, just gone. Like, they're not even on the table. So we will see. Hopefully we're not sitting here after Shenmue 3 and everything and it's all done and we go, Shenmue 4, hashtag save Shenmue 4. Just, if these games all sell well enough, it could completely revitalize the franchise. It's entirely possible. That's up to you, though. You guys, you buy copies, you support it, support Shenmue 3, which you can still do. Support the Shenmue re-releases. You can make it happen. We can all make that stuff happen. I'm excited, man. Like, yes, there's that part of me that goes, it'll be sad to see them no longer basically exclusive to my favorite platform. But on the flip side, you open up the door to so many more people playing it and getting it and understanding it and knowing what it was and how special it really is, that you really do create the possibility that you don't have to have these issues. Like, Shenmue 4 could be a lock. Like, when they announced Yakuza 6, was anybody actually surprised? Like, we just, yeah, it sells well enough, it's a consistent series. That's entirely possible with Shenmue's future if it does well enough. And Yakuza is locked to just PS4. Expanding it to the capabilities of Xbox One and PC, you got a shot. Now, granted, Yakuza tries very hard to appeal to a wider audience than Shenmue is ever going to, but that's why I think they're kind of hedging their bets a little bit by expanding platforms. So Shenmue could just be this thing that becomes a tad more consistent. And when I say consistent, I mean like enough that we will at least get your 4th and 5th game, and Yu Suzuki will take its time and make it. We won't like just start getting weird Shenmue spin-offs, I hope. I don't want like Shenmue Online and Shenmue like, fighting games that are just like bullshit. Make it kind of like what Star Wars was pre-Disney, where it was just kind of an event, and it tells its story, it does it competently, it gets all the way through it, and then it dies in a good way. You know, like Logan at the end. Oh, I'm sorry, spoilers. It's been 2 years. It's fine. It just it where it goes away the way it needs to go away. Let it do its thing. That's what I want. I don't want to see. I don't want to. I also don't want it to get so popular that we just start seeing a bunch of crap we don't want and just destroying what made it good. I don't want that either. So ride that wave in the middle. Does that make sense? Your question was about Spanish subtitles, I think. Sorry. I get off track. You mean Spanish subtitles for the game? I know you do, but I gotta go with sarcasm because your specific question about putting Spanish subtitles in Shenmue, A, I don't work for Sega, so I have absolutely no control over that. And B, anything like that is like, that'd be cool, but I have no say in it. And most Shenmue related stuff pertaining to the re-releases and any other little Sega tidbits I was made privy to, I cannot discuss because of the NDA I signed. As I'm allowed to talk about them, believe me, I will. I've talked about like at best 10% of all the shit they told me about Shenmue and all these other Sega things, but I'm not going to betray that trust, nor am I going to break the fucking law either. We got a super chat from Sir Moncton who says, do you bite entire bars of Kit Kats or split them one up at a time? If you're talking about like the standard size Kit Kat where you like break it in half like that and then you have like the two logs, that's what I do. If you have those big fucking bars, which looks like we're blowing somebody here, look at this shit. Oh. Those big fucking chunky ones, those you just kind of go, you just bite the fucker. What else can you do? But like when you have the two bars together, you split that shit. You don't just go, you don't do that shit. That's fucking barbaric. Unless I will give some credit to Australia right here, because I always thought Japan was the country that was absolutely fucking nuts for the amount of Kit Kats it produces. Australia is right up there with them as far as nutty different Kit Kats go. And they have these ones where they're combos, like where you do the 2 Kit Kat deal. One is like mint and one is chocolate, and you're supposed to eat them together to combine them. So in that instance, sir, it is socially acceptable to do that shit, in my estimation. I know it seems savage. I know it does. All instincts say never do that. But in that case, it is okay. You guys having fun? You're still here? Did you guys all just leave after that weird shit? What consoles don't you collect for? Ones I don't have typically, or ones that I'm done with for whatever reason, or ones where you just go, there's no fucking point. Yeah. I don't know if I have any specific examples of that off the top of my head. Like, okay, FM Towns Marty. I don't own one. I don't have a game for it, so I guess I can't possibly include it on that list. Or Atari Jaguar CD. I have one, but I have all the games, so I don't collect for it because there's nothing to collect left. You get it? Like, and anything that's done, obviously, you don't do anymore of. And then there's other ones where you just go, I don't even know where to start. Like, PS2, for example. I have a nice big PS2 collection, but it's like, I'm not actively pursuing new stuff for it because it's just too much. And it's like, why even try? So you only get ones every once in a while that get your attention for whatever reason. Can you recreate your Shenmue 3 reaction? No, just go watch the actual video, dude. I'm pretty sure I was like, oh my god! Why do you regret buying a Neo Geo X and not a Tiger R Zone? Because the Neo Geo X lied about what it was. It presented itself like it was this really great alternative to play Neo Geo content on, and it would have this whole new host of games, and it would be great in both docked mode and portable mode, much like the Switch in a way. But it ran like shit, and everything about it fucking sucked. The Tiger R Zone never pretended it was awesome. It knew it was a piece of shit from the get-go. And you knew it was a piece of shit just looking at it. The Neo Geo X successfully tricked you into thinking it wasn't, but it was. So I hate fuck it in that regard. That make sense? Probably not, but I hate it. Amstrad GX 4000, I actually do collect a little bit if I can find it. I believe it was the last playload. I actually, for the first time ever, found 2 games for it in the wild. Batman and Tennis something 2 or whatever. So I actually recently picked stuff up for the Amstrad GX 4000. So that is definitely one I collect for. Will you get the Neo Geo Mini that's coming? I'm not getting any of those mini things. Like even the Mega Drive Mini that you saw announced at Sega Fest that I saw in person. No, I don't get those things because they're just emulator boxes basically, and I don't want that. I have the actual things. Why would I do that? Am I interested in collecting for Japanese Saturn? I'm interested in it in theory, in concept. I love the idea of having it, but it's impractical. Um, there's just too much Sega Saturn content released in Japan. It's and most of it's unplayable. Like it's not fun in any real way to try and get that shit. So no, not really, no. Batman on GX 4000 is terrible. I believe that. But still it's a thing. Ryo Hazuki cameo in Yakuza. Would you like to see it? Only if it's non-canon. I don't need like the worlds to collide like that, like in any official capacity. Like when they put him in, what was it, Project Zero 2 or whatever it was, the fighting game, that was fine. It was just silly. And it was a good show of faith to the fans at the time. But I don't want to see it be this thing that like gets too big and he gets bastardized as a character, all the way to where his like dignity and stuff is gone. Like I don't need Ryo Hazuki bobbleheads and all this other shit, and like Tic Tacs and the Pez dispensers. Like I don't need any of that crap. Like just keep it dignified. That's what I want. That's what makes it work. Would you buy a consoleized Neo Geo MVS? That already exists. It's called the Neo Geo AES. And yes, I have one. Japanese Saturn is amazing for shooters. Yes, it is. But most of those are really expensive. Whew, I might have to call it soon, guys. I'm starting to fade here a bit. Like I said, I have to fly out in the morning, and I'm basically in the wrong time zone mentally. So I just wanted to kind of do this, have fun, celebrate. Not quite making it to 100,000 subscribers yet. So what I'm thinking is we'll go for a few more minutes, and then we're probably going to call it. I also want to thank Sega again for having dropped in here. If you guys aren't aware, if you're just joining us now, Sega was hanging out in the comments with us for like a good hour. So, yeah, I'll basically do a couple of power round questions and maybe like one beefy question, and then we're out. If there's anybody last minute wants to PayPal or super chat, then we'll go with that too as a priority. But otherwise, we're just gonna do some softballs, if you will. Do you have a favorite first person shooter? It's an old school answer, but I stand by it. GoldenEye. I just fucking love that game. I know a lot of people say, "Oh no, it's unplayable with modern controls." It's like, no, you just suck at playing video games. It's like it didn't change. If you were fine with it back then, it hasn't altered. You can still be fine with it. Your muscle memory might require you to go back and like relearn it, but it's still a fun fucking game. If you need a slightly more updated answer, I would go with Call of Duty 2. But you have to remember that I am a single player gamer. I do not play stuff online. So if you're like, no man, Modern Warfare was the best because you could play online, I don't give a fuck. I don't give half a fuck. I don't care at all. Online content is totally irrelevant to my opinions. That's my opinions though. That's the whole point. Obviously, you have free will and you can love anything else for any other reason, and it can be the best thing ever in your mind, and that's perfectly acceptable. Are you interested for Intrepid Izzy for Dreamcast? Yes, I believe I backed that. So yeah. Are you interested in collecting for the Famicom or Famicom, as I got in trouble for saying? Yeah, but not enough to actually actively collect for. I go for like individual titles. I have a friend who lives out in Kyoto, and we were bouncing around a bit, and he was recommending some Famicom games. He was like, yeah, this one never came out in the West, but it's totally playable in English and it's a lot of fun. So like those I'll pick up on that kind of recommendation. But there was only a couple I was actively looking for just because of what they were, like the Transformers game, Power Rangers game, stuff like that. But for the most part, no. Project HB super chats, but didn't leave a question. We got a PayPal donation from Adam Buskirk, who says, "Hey Adam, just wanted to say keep up the good work and I love your channel. I have two questions for you. One, thoughts on physical copies of Cuphead that Best Buy is selling. You don't get a disc, and you get a random art cell in the case with a code for the game and your receipt. So that's question number one. Yeah, I remember when they announced that, and I was like, "This isn't." I remember tweeting about it. I was like, "Be careful! This is not a real physical edition. There's no disc in this case." I think that's horse shit, especially if you actually were tricked into buying that. That is not a physical edition. There's no disc. It is junk. It's just empty plastic. It might as well be the plastic bag that the game comes in. Like it's useless. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I hate that. I want a real physical edition of Cuphead. And two, if porting isn't an issue, what are your top 5 games that you'd like to see ported over to the Switch besides Shenmue HD? Mine is the Bioshock Collection, Devil May Cry HD Collection, a nice counterpart to the Bayonetta series, Alien Isolation, Prey 2017, and Metroid Prime Trilogy with an upcoming Metroid Prime 4. My main game series I'd really want to see ported is Dead Space Collection, but that most likely won't happen thanks to the closure of Visceral, #fuck EA. Okay, I don't know if I can come up with a top 5 off the top of my head. I do agree with Bioshock for sure would be awesome on there. Um, I would love to see. I actually would really love to see like the whole Yakuza collection up there. I think that would be a lot of fun. I'm trying to think about non-Nintendo IPs because it's too. I mean, Metroid Prime's a valid point. Metal Gear Solid stuff getting over there would be really good. I'm trying to also think about stuff that's actually possible. Like I'm not going to throw out like, oh, the Twisted Metal franchise because that's Sony's Lock, Stock, and Barrel. That's not going over there. You can't. Oh, Halo. No, you don't. You can't. You got to pick stuff that actually has a real chance. So like third-party developers. Um, I'm all in full on Sega mode. I would love to see just a lot of Sega's content come over there. To be honest with you, a lot of it's older content. Obviously Shenmue, but we said that one kind of doesn't count. Um, yeah, I don't know. That is something I would have to actually really sit down and think about for a while. Um, Maybe some Far Cry stuff. I would love it if a lot of the Far Cry stuff could come over there. Um, I can't. There's this story I'm telling. I asked once about Far Cry coming to uh, the Switch, and the response to that was amusement. Let's just put it that way. Um, but I'd love to see those come over. At least the more modern ones, maybe like 3 through 5. Although I don't know how practical that is. Yeah, that'd probably be some of my answers right there, like Metal Gear Solid and Far Cry, and Bioshock. I agree with you on that one. Yakuza, stuff like that. That'd be cool to see all those come out over there. Thank you very much for the donation. Uh, okay, so probably one last like big one, and then we're gonna go out here. Then I'll be off to Japan again. So apologize for my delay. I'm just trying to find that sweet spot question while I chug some coffee because usually I would have gone longer, man. But like, I'm not. I am sick. I have a cold, so you guys probably can hear it in my voice. Um. So I hope the Europeans appreciated the earlier start time. Because I usually you guys get fucked on these things. Hmm. This one doesn't count, but yes, I am going to Missouri Game Con. I'll just give you a little bit of a convention breakdown. Probably going to Too Many Games in Philly. I don't know that one for sure yet. I am going to the Missouri Game Con. I am going to AVGC. And just tonight, it was announced that I am going to the Portland Retro Game Expo. There is a possibility of me going to a convention in the UK by the Dreamcast Junkyard, but they don't know that one yet. So if you want me to go to that, go tell them. I'm happy to answer this question because this does not violate an NDA. Any sign that Sega will get back into console make no 100% never will happen ever in the history of the universe. Sega is never making a real console again. Sure, the Genesis Mini or Mega Drive Mini, whatever you want to call it, that's a thing that is not meant to replace your Xbox One. You know what I mean? Sega will never, ever in the history of ever make a competitive console. People always throw up, but yeah, but you save Shenmue like that. And when I say you, I mean like all of us. You save Shenmue. It's a thing. Like, of course, Dreamcast 2. Why not? It's like, don't be delusional. Shenmue was a single game, and it only raised through fan support. It's raised just under $7 million. And Sega themselves has to bankroll the re-release of 1 and 2. That is not fan support, and that I can't tell you the budget for what that is, but But consoles, things like the Xbox One, PS4, those cost billions of dollars in all round creation for R&D and marketing and all that stuff, and it has to be a major goal and priority for the company as a whole. Sega doesn't do that. That is not their priority. That is not their goal. They run too many other successful businesses in Japan. They're not going to change the entire direction of their corporation for something that definitely won't work. It's just the truth. It's never happening ever. You gotta let it go. I mean, it's a nice fantasy, but that's never happening ever. And even if it did, it would absolutely fail. It's not a good idea for any reason whatsoever. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Cold hard truth. All right. I guess that won't be the last question because we want to go out with something that isn't a complete downer. So let's see here. Will I be making a cameo in Shenmue 3? God, I wish. All I know is that the Shenmue 3 team knows about me, but that's it. Like, if there's any sort of reference to me outside of the Kickstarter perks, it would be news to me. I have no idea. I know they know I exist, but that's all I know. I would love to, but I've said it before. If I could be, I would want to be an NPC that's like not helpful and not useful. Like I'm just there, and you come up and he's like, "Do you know how to get to wherever?" And I'm just like, "Nope." Just like grin on my face, and I have no clue what I'm talking about or whatever. Like I just think it would be funny to be like a useless NPC, like really useless. Like you only talk to me because you know who I am, and you just think it's funny to interact with me. Like not being of any purpose in the game. Like that would be amusing, but that's a fantasy. Like there's no reason to think that would ever happen. Um, Secret boss, that'd be funny. Sorry guys, I'm still just trying to find that one question to go out on here. It's because some of these like are fine, but I already talked about them. Like, what's the deal with Shenmue 4? Like we already talked about that during the stream. And some of these I can't answer for NDA reasons, which I'm getting a lot of. Hey, Sonic Mania referenced video game donkey. Anything could happen. Sonic Mania was. There's an interesting story about Sonic Mania. I think we'll go out with this because it'll give you some hope for Sega, I think. So again, I want to thank them because if you're unaware, they were hanging out with us in the chat earlier tonight, and they tweeted this video out and all that stuff. So I appreciate them. Um, so the story with Sonic Mania is this is public knowledge. This is not some violation of an NDA, but it does give you a sense of how cool Sega actually is. A few years ago, do you guys remember there was a game called Sonic the Hedgehog 4? Yeah, 4, Part 2. It was like a long delayed second half of Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Part 1. And it came out around the exact same time as this like free Sonic the Hedgehog game came out on PC that some fan made. They came out like almost the exact same time, and everybody agreed the fan made game was better, like infinitely better. Um, and so Sega was embarrassed by that. Um, so they sent the guy a cease and desist letter, basically saying, "Okay, stop." And so Sega looked like giant fucking assholes. But the reality was they went on, they hired the guy, and then he made Sonic Mania. So Sonic Mania was made by basically a fan who was like super dedicated, and that's why it has like weird references in there. They basically said like, "Here's a budget and here's our characters. Just go ahead and make a game. You know what you're doing." And that's the kind of company Sega is. Is just they're just a bunch of dudes who are just fucking awesome, and they have to do certain things while they kind of think other things, and that's a perfect example of it. So, uh, what I can tell you is that you have a lot of reason to be excited for various Sega properties and things. There are good people in there who know what you guys want, and keep up the Twitter blasts and all that stuff because those kinds of things you know, you can get angry with Sega and say like, why haven't you done this? And it's like the dude reading the Twitter or whatever, like they all know, but you're helping because you give them a package they can present to the people who are actually in charge of that shit. And once you do that, things like Shenmue 1 and 2 do happen. So let's put it that way. So my suggestion is don't stop supporting things like the Shenmue campaigns. Keep it up, man. Just change the narrative. Like, all right, we saved it. Now let's move on to the next thing we want to do. Just keep doing that kind of stuff. Just don't be dicks about it. Being dicks about it doesn't work at all. But the positive fan outreach, trust me, it goes further than you think. Sometimes you feel like you're talking to a wall. You're not. Just trust me on that. So I want to say thank you and goodbye right there. We got a super chat, so let me get that out of the way real fast. Thank you to Gabriel Montreal. I'm sorry, I still don't know how to pronounce this. Tell us, Adam, the cat was working for Londi. I don't know what that means. Oh, you mean the cat? Oh, the cat at the beginning of the game? What if? But see, the cat's mother was killed by Londi. So I think the cat is probably very opposed to Londi. Unless it's like an unbelievably dedicated sleeper agent. In which case, it probably went in and killed Ine-san after Rio left and wasn't able to protect her. That's a fucked up cat, man. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching this. Thank you again, if they see this part, to Sega for actually joining us in here a while ago. That was awesome. Thank you to everybody who super chatted and PayPal'd and all the donations and stuff. As always, thank you for the support. Thank you on the road to 100,000 subscribers. We're not quite there, and hopefully we get there soon. But thank you very much to everybody for all the years of support and making this basically happen. We're gonna get there at some point, but still awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good one. Have a safe night. Bye.